The right sidebar consists of two parts, the content score tracker and the entity segment. The content score here shows us the score of the content we have put into the content editor based on the suggestions that have been provided in the right side panel. Now we also see some counters here for H1 use, H2, H3, and word count. These numbers show the average usage of these things across the competitors we have previously selected. Now, the entity segment shows us suggestions that we should follow to update our content. We have two parts, terms and headers and terms and text. Terms and headers are suggestions for what entities you should use when writing your headers. Now we can see some of them in the first group are for H1, H2, H3, meaning that these terms are used across all of them. Also in the first segment, you will see suggestions where they have been only used in H1. In the second part of the terms and headers, you will see that entities are grouped together that were used for H2s, but if they were also used for H3s, they would be mentioned together. Now, in the last part, we only separate entities that were exclusively used for H3 headers. The green color indicates when an entity has been used for this purpose. To get more points in the content score, you need to make headers with these suggestions. And of course, try to hit the counters as well. There is some leniency involved for using these counters, so you don't have to exactly match them, but it is recommended to match these recommendations of up to 80%. Now we move on to terms and text. The terms in text are the entity suggestions to be used in our content. The numbers that are indicated here, the ranges, well, they are suggestions based on the average frequency count that we have viewed previously in the entities table. If you hit the target range, that falls into the green zone as displayed by the green color. This indicates that you have used the entity plus minus 20% of the average frequency for that entity. So there is some leniency involved with the usages. The orange color indicates plus minus 40% of average frequency use, and red is over 40%. So if you underuse it by minus 40% in comparison with the average frequency, or overuse it by more than 40% of the average frequency for an entity, you'll see the red color here. Another thing to note is when you hover your mouse over the entities in either of these sections, you'll see a tooltip. The tooltip in terms and text shows the information gathered from the entity section. We see the average frequency with and without outliers. Without outliers is when, well, there's a competitor that overuses the entity in comparison to the others. Like we see there are some that use it 40 times, while others use it much less. So we compensate for it by getting an average without outliers. Also, we can see salience and when was the last timestamp where this entity was scanned, etc. If you wish, you can also click on the competitors, which are shown by their rank, and we can see the render page, render window, where we can see the entity, their information, etc., and even check the extracted text. Similarly, if you go to the terms and header section and hover with your mouse over one of those entities, we see similar information here, and we can see the usage count distribution here, and we can simply click on the entities, the competitor links here to see their render window as well. To check the headers, we simply need to check the top, because the headers are taken out of the text and put all at the top in the render window specifically. One other thing to mention here is that we can also manually check these entities by clicking the checkboxes. This signals to the system that you have hit the green zone target, the range of uses here, if you want to do so. And you can see the content score goes up. One last thing to show would be the export entities button. When you click that, you'll be asked to save a CSV file. And with that, you can open and, like here, see in the Excel document the entity, average frequency, competitor count, heading average frequency, heading types.